Back in 1974, we built 274,000 homes in Canada. We haven't hit that number in decades. In fact, we haven't hit that number at all. In 2021, we hit just over 222,000. What's the likelihood they're going to be able to more than double the output?
It's a plan to build housing, including for renters, on a scale not seen in generations. We're talking about almost 3.9 million homes by 2031.
We have greater permitting prohibitions, whether it's the municipalities, whether it's the regions, whether it's the provinces. It's not as easy to build nowadays. Look at the oil pipeline that for 8.5 years hasn't gone anywhere and has gone up by billions. They said it was going to cost $7.5 billion. It's now above $35 billion, and they still haven't built it. If they can't do that on their own, what's the chances they're going to be able to build 500,000 homes per year for the next however many years it's going to take them to get to that capacity? It's not going to happen. You know, I know. The only way possible, even possible, for that to happen was if the government was to come in and start building, pass their own approvals, be able to own the properties and build apartment buildings and build them en masse. They would have to start hiring the development companies to build all of these buildings across the country to get anywhere close. I'm trying to emphasize this, guys, because they can't hit this number. We don't even have the workforce. What are we talking about here? But these guys are coming up with ridiculous ideas and then hoping that you and I fall for them. We just know that they're talking out of the other side of their mouth. Look, as a real estate investor, when the government tells you they're going to build 4 million homes over the next 7 years, now, there's two ways to look at that. On one side, I think, I want a piece of that action. If they're going to help make it easier, I probably want to be a part of that. Maybe I want to get into developments if the government's going to give me money to do so. The other side of that coin is, if I don't think it's possible, and if I don't think that's going to happen, do I want to keep my money here? Or do I want it to go elsewhere? I mean, I've talked before about going into the States. You guys know that we are actively in the process of closing on a 100-unit apartment building in the States and looking at more on top of that, because we're looking to, A, diversify our portfolio, move our money into more tax-friendlier locations. Absolutely. And that's why so many people are coming along, because we don't have confidence in this government and what they're doing to investors. So from a real estate investor standpoint, even if there was money to be made here, do I trust that making money in that way will be safe? And the answer is no. On top of the government trying to put into place a renter's bill of rights, on top of the government increasing capital gains taxes, on top of more carbon taxing of everyone, including apartment buildings, including houses, all of these things, the more money you make here, they're penalizing investors across the board. The government is literally telling investors, go put your money somewhere else because we're taking everything that's here. And that's what we're watching right now. So from an investor standpoint, it really doesn't make sense to double down here in Canada. Are there going to be opportunities to make money? Absolutely. If you don't have access to someone that can help you go invest in another country, go into the States, then granted, go ahead and grow where you're planted. Go ahead and get into investment real estate here. Get into whatever types of investment you're thinking of here, by all means. But if you've got an option, why would you stay in a place where the government is telling you they're going to tax you more heavily for every bit of profit you make, you're better off to go somewhere else. And for that matter, even people that are starting businesses are literally, I know so many people that are talking about going and creating entities in other countries, whether it be the US or Mexico or somewhere else, creating an entity there just so that they can do business here in Canada, but they can keep more of the money out of government's hands and be able to actually enjoy the fruits of their labor. Now, here's the question. What about existing investors? If you've got property right here in Canada right now, is it better for you to sell or is it better for you to hold on? It depends on your situation. If you can afford to sell by, what's the date, June 25th? If you can afford to sell by June 25th and get your money out before the new capital gains taxes, well, maybe that's something for you to consider. Or maybe if you already own real estate, and I can say this, I'm not planning on selling what I already have because I don't care about a 2 or 3 year window. I'm looking to hold on to these types of properties for decades. So as a result, it's a non-issue. And maybe it's a non-issue for you as well. And so maybe you take what you do have and go invest somewhere else. It really depends on your specific situation. But if you're an investor here in Ontario, realize number one, they're not changing a lot of these rules between landlords and tenancies. So I don't see it getting more favorable for you before it gets worse. If you've got property in other provinces, you're probably doing okay, in which case you can probably hold on to it. If you're investing, you're probably going to want to invest, if you're investing in Canada, in another province other than Ontario. They're removing the incentives for each one of us to invest in this province for sure. And so what do? You're going to have to look at your specific situation and decide, how long am I going to hold on to these assets? How long, from a tax perspective, go talk to your accountant. Is it better for me to keep money here or start investing it elsewhere?